Hello, my name is Cami Wen, and this is for week 6 lesson plan and video partner reading. This is for grades 2nd grade and above. So let's get started. The objective is to make sure that students are able to work productively with a partner, and students should already know the type of reading passages that they're reading, how to understand them, and also practicing fluency along the way. This will be done in pairs. Some students may need additional practice to meet their AIMS score on certain tests in a certain time, and partner reading is kind of intended to help students who may need more support, so you could also kind of consider this an intervention in itself. I've heard a lot of teachers have done this in the past as just an intervention strategy for certain students, and it's worked really well. Okay. To set up partners, you first need to gather student data according to their ORF scores and passages that they've read. And then what you'll do is you'll split the list in the middle. So you'll have your highest reader with your middle reader and so on down your list. A side note, I've got the extra additional material needed for this unit lesson underneath the lesson itself. So as you're grading, just make sure you look at the lesson, and then after that is where I categorize all the sample students to do this lesson. Alright. So there's two strategies that you can do in order to get students grouped together. One, you can assign each student each pair, except you don't want to explain to them why they are assigned a particular role. There are first readers and there are second readers. First readers are always the stronger readers, and the second readers are the weaker readers. Their other methods are you can either arrange a seating chart so that they sit right next to that partner, or you can also change it up and have a stayer and a mover. So one kid will obviously stay and the other one moves as you say, get with your partners, or however you want to say that. Alright, so let's start implementing the partner reading. So you want to explain to students that reading fluency is the ability to read accurately, quickly, and with good expression, and that the fluent readers can pay better attention to the meaning of what they are reading. You want to tell them that there will be practice reading fluency with a partner. And then at the end, their partner will give them feedback and kind of help monitor their reading so that you also know how a student is able to understand and assess another one. So for instance, I would say the following. During partner reading, you'll be either the first reader or the second reader. When you are not the reader, you are not the coach. The job of the reader is the job to read accurately, quickly, and with good expression. The job of the coach is to listen for the reader's mistakes, help with hard words, and give readers feedback on how you are doing. First readers will allow a certain amount of time and text for a certain amount of time, while the second readers or coaches listen. Then partners switch jobs, and the second readers will read aloud a certain amount of text or for certain amounts of time, which the first readers coaches listen. So basically, you're just going to tell kids one reads and one will listen, and then they will give feedback accordingly. Okay, so before students begin working together, you want to model and explain the rules for partner behavior. You want to tell students that they will be working together for the same partner for 2 or 3 weeks, and describe how they have to be polite, they have to work together, treat each other with respect, and then discuss with your students the rules such as only talk to your partner, only talk about what you're reading, talk in a low voice. You want to cooperate with your partner, and then you also want to try your best. That's a big one because a lot of kids are really hard about that on themselves. Okay, and there's 4 different kinds of mistakes that kids can make, so you're going to model each one of those and show them how to fix them as well. So we're going to start out with a teacher saying the following: "When you're reading aloud, you will sometimes make a mistake. It's okay to make mistakes while reading. Everyone does. Coaches are responsible for listening for and correcting any mistakes that their partner, the reader, may make." And then I would distribute copies of a book. For this one, I used the one that was in the lesson plan, which is called Marine Mammals. It needs to be easy enough that all the students can accurately read it. So it needs to be a very low-level book or passage. Okay, so say there are special ways to fix mistakes. I will show you what to do and when your coach and your partner, the reader, makes a mistake. There are 4 kinds of mistakes to listen for. One kind of mistake is when the reader says the wrong word, a word that is different from what is printed in the passage. Follow along as I read aloud the first sentence in Marine Mammals. Listen for the word that I say wrong or incorrectly. Mammals are warm-blooded ammules. What word did I say wrong or incorrectly? And students should be able to say animals. And they're going to repeat this procedure until all the students understand it. Another kind of mistake is when the reader gets stuck on a word for more than 4 seconds. Follow along as I read the second sentence. Count quietly to yourself to determine whether I figure out a word before 4 seconds. Marine mammals, such as whales, live in the ocean, and then ask, did I get stuck on a word for more than 4 seconds? And the student should say, yes. Then you're going to repeat the procedure until students can identify this type of error. The third one that you're going to say is, another kind of mistake is when the reader skips a word. Follow along as I read aloud the third sentence. Listen for the word that I skipped or leave out. Unlike fish, marine mammals breathe underwater. What word did I skip? And then they would say cannot. And again, you're going to repeat the same process. Another type of mistake is when a reader adds an extra word. Follow along as I read the fifth sentence. Listen for the word that I added. Okay, and then you're going to read from the book. They can stay under the water for a long time. Then you're going to ask, what word did I add? And they would say, the. And you're going to repeat this again until they understand it. And at this point, you're going to have partners pair up and practice reading in a short 1 to 2 page passage, such as Marine Mammals, which the students would already have because I gave out copies. Generally, the first or stronger readers read first to provide a model for the second one. Explain to students that you want them to partner read the passage paragraph by paragraph. First readers will read aloud the first paragraph, while the second readers or coaches will listen carefully for incorrect mistakes. Then the partners will switch, and they will switch jobs. And the second reader will read aloud the first paragraph, while the first readers or coaches listen and correct mistakes. Partners should follow the same procedure with the remaining paragraphs in the passage. Monitor students' practice partner reading. Point out any problems you observe and praise students for specific things well done. For short passages, partners can switch roles after reading about 1 paragraph. For longer paragraphs or books, partners can switch roles after reading about 5 minutes or so, is typically what they recommend. Okay, so for explaining the error correction for mistakenly saying the wrong word, explain to students that if the reader says the wrong word and doesn't self-correct within 4 seconds, the coach should immediately point to the word and, for example, and say, stop. You said the wrong word. The word is animals. And then the coach should ask, what is this word? And then the student would say, animals. And then the coach would go, good, now let's read the next sentence again. So I would say, let's practice. I'll be the reader and you be the coach. Follow along as I read the second sentence. Marine mammals, such as whales, live in the ocean. And coaches should follow along the procedure described above to correct the pronunciation of the word ocean. Another corrective feedback thing that you can work on is getting stuck on a word for more than 4 seconds. So say that the student gets stuck on a word for more than 4 seconds. The coach should immediately point to the word first, and then they should say, the word is ocean. And then the coach should ask, what is this word? And the other student will say, ocean. And then the coach should say, good, let's read that sentence again. And then, so for example, we could practice. So let's say, let's practice. I'll be the reader and you be the coach. Follow along as I read the 6th sentence. However, is it impossible for them to stay below the surface for an infinite amount of time? Coaches should follow the procedure and correct me with the word indefinite for me. The students will follow the same procedure for skipping a word or adding an extra word. Students will stop, have the student kind of repeat what they said, and then they will move on and try to repeat the sentence to recorrect their errors. Okay, so for instructional considerations for ELL students, I would have them pair with non-ELL students to help promote auditory and hands-on learning of learning the English language as they read. So I would have a regular student along with an ELL student paired together. This may take a little extra time, but that's okay. For special education students, I would have these students work on summarizing what they have read to each other because it'll help them focus as they read along. Once they have a summary, it will also help them with their memorization as well. For TAG students, I would have these students focus on phrase cued reading. I would give these students the appropriate marked cued readings and have them practice grouping. These students that they work with would have a normal copy of the paper, and the TAG students would have the slashed up grouping paper. This will help them with the next lesson that would be taught in our book. All right, well, I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.